Hey there, Captains. It's Reem again, this time with a new video. I'm going to do a fun little segment now and then. I think I'm going to call Thank GAR. It's Friday. Try and release them on Fridays. In case you haven't picked up, I primarily play GAR both competitively and casually, probably like 70 to 80% of my games. And because of that, that's the faction I feel most comfortable talking about, most knowledgeable in. So that's primarily what my videos are going to focus on, but we'll dabble into the other factions eventually, I am sure, as a topic comes up that really interests me. Speaking of interesting topics, past week or so, there's been some interesting talk in the Discord about various commanders and Republican stuff and the different abilities of them, and a little bit of like how stuff can be tweaked. It just got me thinking about ranking them. So I thought, what better way to start off Thank God It's Friday than a Republic commander tier list? So with that, these are just my opinions. I have experience with all these commanders. I have played them all several times for the one that probably played the least. So I have some experience with them all, and these are just my opinions. Let me know if you disagree with me in the comments. So starting off, alphabetically here, we got Tarkin. Tarkin is a very interesting commander in the fact that you need to have a plan to use him effectively, and plans can be disrupted. Several fleets' goals are to disrupt plans, and because of that, I'd rank Tarkin A. Tarkin generally has two flavors right now. It's one where I would say you need more than like 3 Confire tokens a turn. So that would be like triple Sfat, or if you're trying clone gunners, maybe, well, especially clone gunners, because you can use the token to trigger it, and then also you need to spend it off another one. The problem with both of those options, or both of those fleets, is they're very, like I said, plan dependent. You got to have all the tokens at the right time. All your ships need to be in the right place, and your enemy needs to fall into the right ranges. Like you want the side arc shots with this fat, so you got to have those double arcs with the Venators and the Victories, which can be very difficult. Same with Clone Gunners, you need 2 ships in range. Can be difficult if you're dealing with small MSUs, especially Rebel MSUs. So those are just some bad matchups for Tarkin, and it takes a lot of practice. But when Tarkin works, it can work really well in that fashion. The other thing that I've tried Tarkin for, can be a lot of fun, is squads. You can just use the second part of Tarkin instead of taking the uh, tokens on all your ships. You can just give the ship that he's on a dial. So putting him on a carrier, it makes it so you can't be sliced, which is niche. As slicers become really slicer tools become really popular, maybe Tarkin becomes more popular for that. But there's a plethora of good options for squad commanders in Republic, and Tarkin works, but very niche. His only standout ability is can guard against slicers, and that's about it. You still have trouble with raid. So for that, he's A. You got to have a plan, and you got to be able to execute your plan, and the enemy can't disrupt your plan. Otherwise, the fleet falls apart. So low A's for Tarkin. Next, one of my favorite admirals, we got Yularen. As long as squads are good in Armada, Yularen will be good. What's your tokens? Activate two squads instead of one, and you can repair squads for engineering points. Really good. It allows you to activate up to 8 squads with a Venator 2 if you want, or you can do like MSU Peltas and have Peltas pushing 4 squads each, and your opponents are actually trying to guess which ones are the carriers, because you can swap out repairs and squads or stuff between them. Gives you some redundancy. And then if it's a 134 versus 134, it's really good because you can activate a lot of squads if you're doing the 8 push, or if you're doing like 5 or 7. with smaller ships. You can do a major alpha on them, and if you get alpha and your stuff survives, you can keep high value targets alive, like your scatter aces, Delta Anakin, arcs. Can't be one shot by anything really. You can heal them back up. It's also a lot of fun, not as competitive, but V19 Torrents with reserve hanger decks. If they die, you bring them back next to like a Pelta, and then the Pelta activates and heals the V19 back up to full health with like a token and a dial. Pretty funny like that. He's also one of the cheaper admirals in the Republic, which always helps. The only downside that Yularen has really is if you're doing like the big Venator that pushes 8, you're liable to being sliced, and you're liable to being just like shot off the table. Like a Patriot Fist or like a MC30 or a double Onagers just kills your Venator. You have 134 points of squads that aren't really going to be doing a lot the rest of the game. So that's the only thing that makes them low S is the Republic squads do have that issue that if the carriers are killed, the fleets fall apart. But other than that, probably the best squad commander in GAR. Next, we have Bail Organa, which I'm going to put right at the top of S. Why is Bail at the top of S? Couple simple reasons. Can't be disrupted by the enemy. In fact, it fights against slicers. If you get raided, you can clear the raid with the ship dial that you reveal, and you can still get a nav or repair. Both very useful commands. You can run concentrate fires or squads on your ship commands, and then do nav and repair as needed. Nothing's worse than like if you have a ship and you're queuing up repairs, and it turns out they don't focus that ship. It's kind of wasted dials. This lets you grab what you need when you need it, and allows you to squad or concentrate fire. And Vassal World Cup, I'm using them to be able to concentrate fire to get extra firepower on my ships. Bail's 28 points, so cheaper than Tarkin. And you get a lot of the same different benefit from him over Tarkin. Dials are just better than tokens in almost all cases, unless you're using it to power GAR things, which has their own issues, like we covered. I would say also a really, really good squad commander inside of the Republic. Probably second to Yularen, simply because GAR carriers, especially if you're using acclimators, acclimators can't turn natively very well at speed 2 or 3, and they're really easy to get shut off the table. So Bail allows you to still get some some maneuvering out of your acclimators, or or even your Venators, to get better position to avoid those double arcs, try and fly out of stuff. They still got nav, they got more movement options, where with stuff like Yularen and Plo, as we'll cover, that's their biggest downside as well, is that their carriers, like I said, if they die, your fleet is 9 times out of 10 just, it's done. It's over, it's screwed, unless they like fly into your squads and stay there. You have 134 points, not doing much. Bail helps avoid that situation, and that's what makes Bail such a great squad commander as well. So if you want to be running concentrate fire dials, or if you want to be running squad dials, consider Bail as an option. Next up, we have Luminar Unduli. Luminar, I'm going to say is low A. A lot of people really like Luminar, so I might get in some trouble for this. But the problem with Luminar is her ability can just not work sometimes, in the sense of if they just accuracy your defense tokens, you can't spend them. And if you can't spend them, you can't refresh them. So Luminar isn't doing anything for you for that. People say thermal shields can get around this, and that's true. But there's a couple of ships in the game and strategies in the game where thermal shields is kind of weak. Any dice hat effects, so like your Akbar, your Patriot Fists at like red range, you're only taking out 2 reds. Anything like that, the thermals don't help you with. Um, and also against some opponents, if they're going against Luminar, what they know they need to do, and what in general is being practiced in Armada now, is just focus firing a target. So that means your tokens are always going to be stressed, and you're not going to be wanting to spend more than 1 token ever to refresh the other one. And then even if you refresh it, they can still accuracy it away the next turn. I think why people really like her is because there's a couple of matchups where she is just excellent, unstoppable, almost so much value. And that's because Luminar generally fleets take expert shield techs. If you go against any sort of fleet where their plan is like 134 points of squads, and squads are going to be like 70 to 80% of their damage, you just, expert shield tech. The next one you brace, or they like whiff. The worst is if they just like whiff the second attack, because then you get to refresh the expert shield tech for free. And you can negate like 40, 50%, 60% of the damage that they're putting out for free. And it's super, super powerful. And for that, Luminar has some great matchups, even against like Sloan and stuff. And people see that, and it really, really makes her shine. And I really like her in that scenario. But there's just so many other scenarios where it's like there's 1 or 2 big shots that the enemy's gonna do. They have like a Patriot Fist and a couple of munis that are gonna shoot you, or it's like an MC-30 that's gonna fly in and like double arc you. And it just doesn't. Luminar doesn't help in those scenarios. So there's some matchups, there's some ships that her ability just doesn't help, because you die too fast, your stuff gets accuracyed, or you're like running thermals, and it doesn't matter. So that's the problem with Luminar. Still a great commander, can still have great games, but has some major flaws that come up fairly often. Speaking of major flaws that come up fairly often, we have Obi-Wan in B. I would put Obi-Wan in C, but I'm going to explain why he's in B at least. Obi-Wan comes with the starter set for clones, and he's a great commander if you're just learning the game, because his ability is so easy. There's no additional thinking that needs to be done when you're playing Obi-Wan as your commander. It's just like, well, I'm going to spend the redirect anyway. Hey, my commander gave me ability to reduce damage. That's cool. Commanders have abilities, and they do things, and they're important, and they're on this ship, and if the ship dies, I lose the ability. Great entry tool for new players if they're starting in GAR to the game. Great Admiral. I played a lot of Obi-Wan in the beginning. But the downfall with Obi-Wan is obviously accuracies. Same story with Luminar. If you're going against squads, you'll probably get use out of it. But a lot of the stuff, a lot of the way the games are being played in Armada now, is the enemy focuses 1 ship, and they're going to shoot them 2 or 3 times, or however many times in the round. You only get the redirect once. You negate 1 damage, and then at the top of the next round, they're going to use their biggest ship to try and finish off whatever they were shooting at. So you might get the negate 2 damage. And you know what? All the ships in the Republic, except for the Counselor, have 4 engineering points. So a Bale repair dial will heal just as much damage as if you're lucky, Obi-Wan will block. So just take Bale. They cost the same. You'll get about the same results, you'll get better results with Bale. Unless you're flying mass counselors for some reason, in which case the repair dials won't help as much. So Obi-Wan, great intro commander. Niche ability can maybe be added on in the future if they have some way to make redundant redirect tokens or a point change, or maybe make it change so that it works if you burn the token or you discard the token as well. For right now, just kind of fun. I like playing him yet. I love Obi-Wan in the lore. I play him for like fun, but not really that competitive at all, I would say. Last up, we have Plo Koon. Plo Koon comes in. I'm tempted to say high B. We'll give him the low A. Plo Koon is interesting as a squad commander because it gives other squads around a squad with adept grit at distance 1. So it's a way to get essentially intel, or give all your adept squads intel. And if you have another friendly ship within distance 3 of the target that one of your squads are bombing, they can get a free accuracy. I've been playing a lot of Plo Koon recently. I was testing out Plo Koon for the Vassal World Cup, and he has a lot of problems in the fact that same problems as Admiral Yularen, except even worse in a way, because you're going to be using squad dials, so you're not going to be navving. So it's harder to get, especially acclimators, it's hard to get your ships close enough to trigger that ability for the accuracy. Especially if your opponent's like Akbar, or like a Separatist, like shooting a bunch of red dice at you, they'll just stay at long. So it's hard to find that medium range with your narrow movement tool. And whatever you're throwing into medium range has better be tanky, because that means you're in medium range of, stuff shooting back at you. So Tranquility is probably your best option, because an Acclimator at close, especially with its nav chart, and they got like a black dice ship, like a Demo or a ISD-1 or Kuwat or something, like trying to find that thin line with like one click to get it into medium, but not into close. Super, super challenging. Other problems with Plo Koon is you could use another ship to trigger it, which you can, like Peltas and stuff. But they can also just die if you have a lot of combat ships, like if you have like a tanky salvo Venator that you're going to throw in and hopefully trigger this all out. That cuts into the amount of points that you can get for squads. And with Plo Koon, it seems to me like you really want a lot of bombers. So you're probably running 134 points to get like 6 bombers, and then enough aggressive or squad to squad fighters to actually be able to win a squad war. Because if you just bring bombers, you're going to have trouble if someone else brings 134 or a medium squad ball. And then if you get through all of that, you get your ship into medium. Your squads are getting that free accuracy. There's a lot of ships where it doesn't matter a whole lot, but it feels really good on some of the ships it does. Like if you're bombing Peltas, Acclimators, anything that has like a brace, an evade, and 1 redirect, because that accuracy lets you just drill into the ship. You just accuracy that redirect the whole time, and it's great. But if you don't kill it with the squads, if you roll all 6 bombers into the side of a Pelta, and you get it down to like 2 hull, and then you have to shoot it with the ship, you got like a Venator 2, so it's like 2 reds, 2 blues, and you got to get 2 damage into this Pelta. Well, if you don't get 2 accuracies, they're gonna brace, they're gonna redirect, and essentially all that work that you did accuracying the redirect gets kind of washed away, because now it's like, oh, I'll just redirect now and put 3 at the front. There's just a lot of ships like that, where if you don't kill it with the bomber, then you shoot it, and it gets to use the redirect token that you were accuracying the whole time anyway. So did it really matter that you accuracyed the redirect token the whole time? No. I will say Plo Koon's probably one of the best admirals at blowing up um, flotillas. You accuracy those scatters. Seems pretty good, but is it really worth to throw at least 4 points or 4 squads to kill a Gazanti or a GR75? I guess it depends on the build, but if it's just like a comms net, take what points you can. But could definitely be better. So that is my thought on the Republic commanders. Overall, I think they're all in a great spot. There's no real duds. Even Obi-Wan has a place. Definitely still a fun commander to use. A lot of them suffer from you need to be able to execute a plan, and it's just hard to get your own ships to execute that plan in some cases, and then also the opponent just countering the plan, and then a couple of all-stars, a couple around all again, or all around like win more or lose less commanders that really make them shine. So this is my thoughts on Republic commanders. I'll probably go in depth with like fleet examples for all of them in later episodes of Thank GAR It's Friday. I have some, by some I mean probably 5 or 10 different fleets for all of these admirals, trying to, mess around with their strengths and stuff. So until then, you all take care.